What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Santana, and I am here today to talk about something that's absolutely wild. We understand what's been happening in LA. We've been watching what's happening in LA with these ICE raids, and not only with these ICE raids, with this consistent escalation that's occurring by the Trump administration and the things that they're actually doing. So, I want to take a moment just to take a look at what has happened so far within the last 24 hours. I'll start here. We know that there were protests after there were massive ICE raids that started to break out within LA. We also know that those ICE agents were driven out of LA while at the same time trying to use military tactics. After that, it started to escalate in multiple facets. Donald Trump took the Truth Social to put out this statement. If the governor, Gavin Newsom of California, and the mayor, Karen Bass of Los Angeles, can't do their job, which everyone knows that they can't, then the federal government will step in and solve the problem. Riots and looters, the way it should be solved. That's the current sitting president of the United States threatening to send the military into the state of California to quell riots. And let's be clear, these are not riots. These were protests because these ICE raids were something that is infringing on the right of not only United States citizens, but the constitutional rights given to undocumented immigrants, and people are protecting their neighbors. That's what this boils down to. I want to talk about what happened last night. Now, after Donald Trump made this entire proclamation about how the federal government will step in as needed, Donald Trump actually tried to send the National Guard in, and Gavin Newsom said, we're good. Donald Trump did not take that as an answer. Donald Trump did the only thing that he could do, which was sign an executive order that put the National Guard of California under his control, superseding the power of the governor of California. You know what's interesting about all of that? 12 minutes after Donald Trump actually did that, this is what Donald Trump was actually. Literally 12 minutes after Donald Trump signed that executive order saying that the National Guard was now under his control, under the control of the President of the United States, superseding the control of the governor of California, he was at a UFC fight, which leads me to ponder, was this an issue of using AutoPen? Because he wasn't there to sign this executive order. And also, how did they get this executive order drafted so quick? Simple. We found out they already had this executive order prepared because this was something that they had already planned on doing. This wasn't something that just happened. This was something that was intentionally escalated by Donald Trump and the Trump administration. While that was happening, this is a statement that was put out by Governor Gavin Newsom of California. The federal government is moving to take over the California National Guard and deploy 2,000 soldiers. That move is purposefully inflammatory and will only escalate tensions. Listen, you can say that you don't like Gavin Newsom or whatever the case may be, but he is absolutely right in this entire statement that he put out. The night ended up kind of quiet, things tapered off, and things weren't that bad. But Donald Trump himself actually put out another statement saying this. I'm not going to read this entire thing. You can pause it if you want to, but it's a lot of unnecessary BS. But I will read out two specific portions. At the very top, Donald Trump says, "Great job to the National Guard in Los Angeles after 2 days of violence, clashes, and unrest." Blah, 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 blah. But then at the bottom, he says, "Again, thank you to the National Guard for a job well done." This is what Donald Trump said as far as, implementing the National Guard into Los Angeles to help curtail the riots, which again, not riots. The interesting thing about that is this.
And overnight, President Trump thanked the National Guard for a job well done, but we've actually seen them just arrive here this morning, getting set up with riot gear, all of these armored vehicles. So far, a lot of the response has been local law enforcement with some federal officers, but they are clearly gearing up for what could be another intense day of class.
You know what's really interesting about that statement, besides the fact that no, the National Guard had not actually even done anything yet. They had just got there this morning, and Donald Trump put out that statement last night. I think the reason why Donald Trump was a little bit confused is because when he was putting out that statement, or right after he put out that statement, or before I should say, this is what he was actually doing. Donald Trump was busy with celebrating the UFC fight and celebrating himself. He wasn't focused on what was happening in California, in LA specifically. He was focused on being quote unquote praised. He wants to actually wield power without the responsibility of actually governing or even making sure that things are happening, people are safe, or whatever the case may be. So he can do things like put out statements and not really know what's happening because he has no interest in the actual governing portion. He just wants to praise and he wants to look strong, and he doesn't. He looks weak. Before we leave, I'm just going to leave you with one last image, one image that has been circulating social media, and I think it's very, 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 very appropriate. United States flag upside down. The United States flag upside down is a symbol of the country being in distress. Whenever the country is distressed, the flag is flown upside down. This is something that's circulating social media and something that is very appropriate in this time. Our country is in distress, and we can't just stand for it. We can't sit back and allow it to happen. We have to continue to push back and fight and protect our country. And I'm going to do it, and I hope you do it as well. I'll leave you with this final thought. This is not normal. This is not normal, and we will not allow it. I love you all, and as always, peace.